Hey, what's up, beautiful people? Now, today I want to talk to you about arguments. How often do you and your partner argue? But more importantly, how many of those arguments are resolved? Completely resolved. I don't mean you kiss and you make up or you just say, I'm sorry, and you move on. But how many of those arguments are resolved? Because, as I've mentioned before, arguments are a form of communication for some people, right? Some people communicate when it's just an outburst, when it's loud, when there's a lot of tension, when there's a lot of energy, because some people don't understand how to communicate any other way because of past experiences, because of how they've been brought up, because of various different reasons, okay? But arguments, disagreements, debates are a form of communication. And when those things do happen, they need to be assessed, they need to be analyzed, and they need to be discussed. Both parties need to walk away with an understanding of why this has happened or why this has been happening and what we're going to do moving forward, right? Because I say this before I move forward. I say this. Each time you and your partner face a challenge that you overcome, subsequently, fundamentally, non-negotiably, you guys grow stronger together because you've overcome a challenge together. You build a greater bond. You build more trust. You build more loyalty. You build a better foundation in how you communicate, right? But if you argue and you leave each other for a few days, or you just go and say sorry for the sake of saying sorry just so things are better, you guys haven't actually resolved any problem, you haven't resolved any issue, you haven't had a clear and concise discussion, and you haven't come to a mutual understanding of what the problem is and how you can then face it better, because it will come again. Different arguments, different problems, different debates, different situations will arise over the course of your relationship. It's inevitable, right? And I know your question might be, well, every time I try to talk to her, she blows up. Every time I try to talk to him, he recedes into his shell and he doesn't want to open up to me. He goes into his man cave, or she goes to see her girls and whatnot, right? As I mentioned that, let me touch on something else. Someone asked me one time, they said, when you have a problem in your relationship, who do you talk to? I talk to the person that I have a problem with. I'll go to my lady and say, I have a problem with you. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it, right? Going to your girls, going to your boys will not solve the problem, because your girls or your boys are not in a relationship with you. They don't understand you in terms of in a relationship, in a partnership, in a romantic agreement. They don't understand that. They understand you as their friend. They understand you as someone they grew up with. They understand you as a colleague. They understand you a very different way to how your partner's gonna understand you. Yes, you can go to them to offload. Maybe you wanna offload, you wanna rant, you wanna rave, so you can get that tension off your shoulders, so you can then go and approach your person and say, okay, I'm in a calm place, and we can talk, right? But don't take your problems and your issues outside the relationship. Bring them into a relationship and resolve it as a team, in a partnership, as a couple, right? That's that. Let's deal with that another time. Now, if you tend to have these situations where you feel you can't be clear and transparent with your partner because of how they may react or how they may not react, this is a huge learning curve, right? It means you guys are in two completely different realms of conversing, right? It means you guys read things very differently, understand things very differently, and therefore the process that is taken in this discussion or attempt to converse needs improvements, right? So maybe not tackle the argument first, maybe tackle, okay, I realize most of the time when I approach you about something that I am feeling or something that has happened, this is the reaction I get. You blow up or you hide away, right? Which is fine. I get it. We all have our ways of processing information. We all have our ways of dealing with things. But I need to know the best way to communicate with you to get through to you. So maybe the way that I was doing it isn't right, because timing is a factor when you want to talk to someone about something serious. Timing. Is it the right time? Are they going through other things? Are there other things in their mind? Are they in a mental space, emotional space to take on what you're bringing to them right now? Timing is a factor. Language is a factor. What language do you use? Tone is a factor. Are you telling someone, or you're asking someone, is it soft? Is it harsh? These things are important factors, right? So ask that person, how would you like me to communicate with you, right? And as I'm saying this, other things are coming to my mind where there's other people that may say, well, I don't want to feel like I am submitting. I don't want to feel like I'm backing down. Look, when you're in a relationship, sometimes one person's gonna be up here and you gotta be down here. Sometimes you're gonna be up here, they're gonna be down there. But sometimes you will not find yourself on the same level. And it's not about who's the toughest and about who's the softest. It's about who can observe that there's an issue and who is looking for the right way to approach the issue. Because it's like this. Men find it a lot more challenging. Some men find it a lot more challenging to process their emotions. So they act out. They act out of character, they act outlandish, right? They become aggressive in their nature. Some women are the same. But on the other side, some people, when it comes to emotions, when it comes to these sort of emotionally charged situations, they hide away. You know, they become shy, they become intimidated, and they can't express themselves, right? So you gotta understand who is the person you're dealing with. And if you can't figure it out from what you see, ask them, how do I approach you? How do I talk to you? What is it that I say that triggers you the wrong way? What is it that I do that triggers you the wrong way? So understanding the person, right? Because what essentially you're doing is teaching each other how to communicate in a plane that one another can understand, right? It's important that you understand when I talk, I'm gonna use a bit of swear word over here, and I'm gonna be a little bit fidgety over here, but that's how I talk, because I talk with my hands, or, you know, that's just how my brain processes things when I say things, right? It's good that you understand that, and vice versa. Maybe someone is very good with their words and they're very dictionary smart and they use a lot of big awkward words that, you know, or they might speak to you as if they're speaking to their colleague or their boss, and they just come off a little bit arrogant or in a certain type of way, right? But they mean no harm. That is just their form of communication. It is good that you both understand each other's form of communication, right? So once we've crossed that bridge now you know how to approach your partner. You know the sort of attitude and behavior that gets your point across, gets your message across. Now you apply that to the problem that you're having. Okay, partner does X, Y, Z all the time and it really pisses me off, right? But I'm not gonna go in guns blazing, or for some people, I'm not gonna go in so soft and just give a vague information, right? You're gonna go in with the right approach because that's what you've discussed. You're going with the right approach, and you continue that, right? So this is the approach you're going in with. This is the message you're trying to convey, and this is sort of response that you're expecting. You're expecting this person to talk to you, communicate with you as you have discussed, okay? So resolving arguments, one, is a great way to build your relationship, to build the love, the trust, and longevity, because it makes your relationship stronger. But it's very important that you learn how. You learn how to tackle these problems. And you're teaching each other. Every single time you have a problem, you're teaching each other how to communicate those problems. And each time you resolve those problems, the trust, the respect, the love grows. And that's how you can have a much longer lasting relationship. Just let that marinate.